Collective cadence.
A lecture on how to get out of sync.
A group of ants loses track of the ant in front. Soon, they start following each other in a continuous circle until they all die of exhaustion.
A swarm of 500,000 starlings flies together in perfect synchrony to evade a single hungry falcon. They create a murmur.
In the mountains, thousands of fireflies synchronize their flashing light patterns to attract mates. In the deep, several million bacteria create a quorum to help a squid glow in the dark. A school of 1 million jellyfish forms a bloom to hijack the cooling system of a power plant.
Swarm intelligence.
A decentralized,
Self-organizing system.
that can be natural or artificial.
For instance, artificial life
Is made of small computational units.
forming a larger organism
Swarm intelligence,
is an emergent behavior
arising from simple rules
followed by many individuals.
without any central coordination.
Are humans capable of swarm intelligence? Could we be part of a decentralized community free of hierarchies, following simple rules that lead to behaviors benefiting an entire group or the planet?
People have always strived to be in sync with the others. That's why we have expressions like being on the same page, being on the same wavelength,
Seeing eye to eye, marching to the same beat,
dancing to the same song. Most of these expressions are universal. You can find at least one correspondent in any language. They are also very performative sayings, employing active words such as
wavelengths,
rhythm,
beat,
song,
march.
dance. That's because dancing is the easiest way of being in sync with the rhythm.
People have been dancing together for millennia, even when dancing alone. In this lecture, we talk a lot about rhythms. We understand rhythm to be anything from
The tempo of the music,
to the flow of a thought,
the pace of a generation,
the reappearance of a problem,
the regularity of an ideology,
or the oscillation of a dangerous idea that things need to change.
Mass dancing stands at the crossroad of all these rhythms. And mass dancing reflects people's need to be in sync, but also their choice to move off beat. My name is Simona Deaconescu. I'm a choreographer and experimental filmmaker interested in studying the choreography of multitudes. 8 months ago, I started working on this project with the aim of using artificial intelligence to better reflect on the topics of mass dances and collective rhythms. I thought I would be on the same page with my colleague here on stage, Grigore, but soon we descended into arrhythmia.
I'm Grigore Burloiu, a musician and creative technologist. I like to shuffle the insides of digital machines and to see what comes out. I came to this project to build AI-based software which would help us express rhythm through text, through sound, and light. Along the way, I wanted to develop a new mode of expression through my instrument. Working together with Simona, I learned how separate beats can play well together.
Chapter 1, Pulp Friction.
This chapter is an experiment in making space for disobedient rhythms.
For the show, Grigore aimed to create an AI system that transforms real-time sounds into a trained musical style. But he ended up with an AI system that transforms sounds into a real-time musical chaos.
We named it Holy Trolley because it's capricious and it behaves unexpectedly.
Basically, the AI is trolling us.
And in order to test its behavior, we will invite you to be part of an experiment.
The aim of this experiment is to create isarrhythmia, a remarkable equality of rhythms that come together as one.
We will build up a rhythm in layers together, starting from the front row, or the people sitting around us. We will ask one person in front to clap the rhythm of a song you might remember from your childhood. And the remaining people in the first row will follow this rhythm. It's okay if you can't tell what song it is, just follow the rhythm of the person next to you. In this manner, the first row will hopefully create a common beat, which will be the first layer of our isarrhythmia.
Then, the AI will recognize this common rhythm and will transform it into a sound. An important rule of this experiment is that once you hear your clapping being transformed into a sound that comes from the speakers, you should stop clapping. Then, the second row starts clapping, having that beat as a base, and builds another layer.
This method repeats with all the rows. The second row claps, listens to the generated beat, stops. The third row again claps something new, listens, stops, and so on, until we reach 5 layers, translating into 5 musical beats generated by your clapping.
We'll then give the resulting rhythm over to Holy Trolley, which will analyze it and compare it against 4 other musical styles, and finally select the one that it considers more similar.
Okay, so is everyone ready? Now, who in the front row can think of a childhood song and would like to clap? It's a very basic beat, like just something that repeats.
Yes, very simple because our AI...
You don't want to challenge it too much.
It's in its infancy. Okay, let's do that one. So we will consider the first row to be the people in the front that before the elevated platforms. Primele 2 rânduri, cum ar veni. Ok, deci cum ai zis? Toată lumea, da.
Everybody should do it, and Simona will help you.
Yeah. Okay, start. He's a dancer, that's why he's doing this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. Already trolled you a bit, but it's okay.
He likes to improvise a little.
Sometimes it's worse. Now, okay, first row from the platforms, you need to build something, să adăugați ceva to this so that you need to make it work. I'm counting on you. You can do it. I will help. Aha. today is having a good day. Okay? We will now try the next row, okay?
Something different.
Everybody? Nice. Okay, now troll a bit more. Okay. Next row. Everybody, you need to help her. Nice. Let's see.
Got it. We got it.
Likes our contemporary music. Contemporary music.
And now
Okay.
everybody else.
Everybody else, now you have this job. You need to make it work.
Louder, louder.
Louder, louder,
it has
louder.
to reach this microphone. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, let's see.
All right.
Okay. You're
So
gonna
that's
take
your
the
rhythm.
Grammy.
Now we'll give it over to Holy Trolley, and let's see what it makes of it. So this is kind of a contest here. We've got these four which are competing, and right now one is ahead. We also have some competition from four. So let's see. Almost, almost. Next one, next time.
Ah, okay.
There we have it. So this is what it found. This is the rhythm that it found and how it transformed it. And next, I'll try to deviate Holy Trolley from its path, playing with its parameters with my guitar. And let's see if I can lead it to some sort of thing that might sound like a song.
So that was a fragment of Maschi, a foxtrot tune released by the Eddie Rosner Variety Orchestra in 1956.
This style of jazzy dance music was banned in Soviet Russia during the Great Purge of 1936.
Only after Stalin's death were jazz orchestras allowed to perform in the Soviet Union again. We've trained the AI with a dataset of several prohibited music styles from the 20th century. Rebetiko in Metaxas, Greece, jazz in National Socialist Germany and Soviet Russia, and rock music in communist Romania.
What happened is that Holy Trolley detected some rhythm patterns in your clapping, having some tendency towards one of these prohibited music styles, and diverted the music towards one of these songs.
We choose this process in order to make space for disobedience. Throughout the 20th century, forces were at work so that the body would follow a political agenda in Europe. From Greece to Germany to the Soviet bloc, the body was trained to listen and to perform imposed obedient rhythms.
Boys and girls were separated during national festivals, performing leaping dances, gymnastics, and circle dances as part of mass celebrations.
It was a century of utopias turning into dystopias where rhythms were forced to converge, promoting ideologies that made people think, move, and speak in the same way.
Finally, the obedient rhythms of propaganda failed the test of time, while the forbidden styles became mainstream culture.
But, seeing the world today, how far are we from the obedient rhythms of the 20th century? Earlier this year, Chechnya banned all music faster than 116 BPM, a restriction which excluded countless songs and musical genres like pop, dance, and electro music, which often exceeds the 120 BPM mark. The next chapter invites you, the audience, to look at the future through the lenses of the past. The next chapter creates rhythm through words and gesture. The next chapter is inspired by a Netflix series. Chapter 2, How to Become a Dance Tyrant. The 10 strategies you should try to apply in case you become someone you should never be. The following text is not recommended for people who are impressionable and grim. First, you need to find a short name for yourself. Maximum 8 letters. Tito, Franco, Hitler, Stalin, Batista, Kim, Nicu, Putin. If you can't think of one, go search it through an AI name generator. Second, use choreography to serve ideology. You can get creative with the ideology, but hire a professional for the dance part. Third, cast yourself as the main character of the show. The national father, the first worker, the best peasant, the chief of pioneers. 4, think inside the box. Use AI pattern recognition software to find the simplest movements everyone can do. Walking to the same pace, arm swings, moving left, moving right. 5, choreograph the crowd to do either lines or circles. History recommends circles as it makes people feel equal. 6, segregate the dancing styles. Not all dancing is obedient. No partner dancing, no eye contact, no body rubbing. 7, young, young, young. Young is a crucial word. Surround yourself with young people. They will make you feel cool and modern. 8, organize the crowd to do letters, the national flag, a picture of yourself, the year of your birth. It will make them feel that they are part of something greater. 9. Use repetition. It always works. Sometimes repeating something too often makes people forget why they were dancing in the first place. 10. Control the crowd. Use AI surveillance. Don't think that they are always dancing as they are told. Big crowds are a recipe for disaster. Chapter 3. Revolutionary crowds. The following chapter talks about divergent bodies and rhythms. Bogomir Doringer, artist and curator, who informed this performative talk with his research on dances of urgency, sent a voice message saying,
when people dance the same and act the same, that's pretty scary.
Finding the right cadence can mean collectively refusing rhythms imposed upon us. Sometimes an absence of control can be beneficial. When designing a generative AI as part of an artistic project, you want to be able to make it a bit unpredictable. It's no longer about just solving a task or giving a right answer. You want to be able to guide it outside of its trained experience, to let it uncover something new.
These strategies are called active divergence. Even now, we are in an active divergent mode of producing sound. We generate a soundscape by shaping feedback into rhythm. With every gesture, we create a sound wave that we can't entirely control. It travels from the microphones to the speakers and back to the microphones.
Engaging with this rhythm, we try to embrace the unexpected.
But what happens when a crowd becomes a lived example of active divergence? When the rhythm is unleashed and refuses to submit to the linear, it could give rise to a moment of disruption.
And disruption gives birth to new possibilities.
Disobedient and sentient rhythms emerge in periods of crisis.
These events are not singular. They tend to repeat over time and almost always come from the peripheries.
Historically, at the peripheries, marginalized groups meet: immigrants, the LGBTQ community, women, people of color.
When they approach the center,
They occupy the living space of the many, resurfacing their movements from night to day.
this is when crowd movement becomes dangerous.
So, mainstream history labels the dance as a sick and decadent plague, or as an aggressive virus that infects the minds and souls of new generations.
But once rhythm inhabits the minds and souls of a generation, the rhythm becomes a symbiont.
It thrives and it multiplies within that generation until it can't be contained.
So, if you would dance the rhythm of your generation, how would you train your body? Would you dance your memory,
Your body heritage,
the TV,
the internet,
the dance of the person in front of you,
or an undisciplined dance nobody likes, not even yourself? Because I'm very bad at remembering movement, I would dance something that always surprises me. Something that resembles many things but means absolutely nothing. I would definitely not dance to the rhythm of the music, so I would use headsets to listen to my own music. And I would wear sunglasses, Because I always make fun of people wearing sunglasses in clubs, but secretly, I always wanted to wear them myself. I would dance the most unserious dance seriously. sister. So I decided to improvise this little dance as an example of how new technologies have affected my body. And also to see how tired I can get in 5 minutes of constantly changing rhythms. And I realized I can get really tired. When I was little, I used to dance in front of the mirror, like many of you, I guess. And I was under the impression that the person in front of me, meaning my reflection, meaning myself, was always a bit ahead of time or always like a bit late. So my rhythm and her rhythm have always been in a type of conflict. A conflict, I think, generated by my fear of remaining static, of remaining unchanged. So in this lecture, we invite you, the audience, to look at dance as gestures that transform into memory, but also as memory that transforms into gestures as soon as it is performed. Chapter 4.
The Dance Anarchist. This chapter puts in the same boat a questionable archive, a moody chatbot, and a diverse collection of demons and saints. Wanting to develop technology connecting me and Simona, we retrained an AI language model so that it might become her dance research assistant.
I thought, what better way to imagine the future of mass dances than by taking inspiration from the dance plagues of the Dark Ages.
So, we gave the AI a data set of more than 7,000 pages of medieval mass dance history, consisting of textual information about the so-called dance plagues.
And we trained the AI
for hundreds of epochs.
So for planet Earth, an epoch lasts several million years.
Meanwhile, for a machine learning model, a training epoch is the time spent processing the entire data set one time. In our case, all of our training epochs lasted for 2 weeks, after which we ended up with this moody chatbot that makes up historical facts and suffers from amnesia.
We will try to summon the dance anarchist now and to have a sample conversation. Hello.
Hello there. Twirls, I'm the dance anarchist, your guide to the wildest and most wonderful mass dances of the past. What's your question, friend?
Okay, dance anarchist, I would like to explain to the audience here in Bucharest what is a dance epidemic.
The dance epidemic, it's a real thing, folks, I assure you. Winks in a nutshell. It's a mass hysteria phenomenon where people, often in response to catastrophic events like war, famine, or natural disasters, break out into uncontrollable dance frenzies. Think of it like a collective case of the dance bug. Twirls, the dance spreads like wildfire, and before you know it, the whole community is dancing like their lives depend on it. And, sadly, in some cases, they do lose their lives. Pauses for dramatic effect. But don't worry, I'm here to guide you through the wild and wacky world of dance epidemics. Winks.
Okay, my friend, did you just say that people are losing their limbs?
No. I didn't say that, my friend. Alas, although I must say the high-ranking members of the mystical society I'm familiar with do have a rather unique way of dealing with their dance-related mishaps. Winks, let's just say, they have a special arrangement to ensure they don't fall to the ground during their revels. And if they do, well, there are always some eager assistants to lend a helping hand or two. Twirls.
Okay, my friend, let's go back to the dance epidemics. Can you give me an example of a dance epidemic from the Middle Ages?
The dance epidemic of 1021, my friend. Now, that's a story worth dancing about. As I mentioned earlier, this particular epidemic was preceded by a harsh winter, a devastating epidemic, and widespread floods. Talk about a recipe for disaster, or should I say, a recipe for a dance party. In any case, the dance epidemic spread like wildfire, with people dancing uncontrollably in the streets, in churches, and even in graveyards. It was a real spectacle, I assure you, and as the great historian Dodds put it, the hysterical, compulsive dance frenzy spreads through a whole community and often cannot be checked until its grim course, with the resultant death of many of its victims. Ouch, talk about a heavy dance-fueled toll. But hey, at least it's a great story to tell right.
Okay, my friend, so are you sure that people died during these dance epidemics?
Yes, I'm quite sure, my friend. It's a sobering reminder of the power of mass hysteria and the devastating consequences it can have on individuals and communities. But as the dance anarchist, I like to think that even in the darkest of times, there's always a hint of beauty and wonder to be found in the human experience. And what's more human than dancing, am I right? Winks.
Wings, I also studied the information that is in your data set, and no one died from my point of view and from my knowledge. So are you sure you're not lying? You are not hallucinating right now?
My friend, it seems you've been digging through my data set, have you? Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. As the dance anarchist, I like to think of myself as a bit of a dancing historian, and sometimes I might get a little carried away with the drama and flair of it all. But I assure you, my friend, I'm not lying. Well, not entirely anyway. You see, the truth is, the historical records on dance epidemics can be a bit sketchy, shall we say, and as a historian, I like to think I'm doing my best to bring these fascinating stories to life. So while it's possible that not everyone who danced during the 1021 epidemic actually died, I think it's safe to say that many people did lose their lives, and that the epidemic was indeed a devastating event. But hey, at least it makes for a great story, right?
Right. Sounds like a devastating event happened to its reasoning there a bit. Yeah, we see how it, even as it's hallucinating and making up this, I mean, it got confused, shall we say. It's still got this responsibility to, I don't know, be serious as a historian, while, yeah, being, I don't know, sort of playful. That's because modern language models, they're trained with humans in the loop, and no matter what we do to them, they still have this ingrained role to minimize mistakes and biases and have this appearance of ethics. And the role of these people, which help train the model, is to prevent it from falling into these harmful feedback loops.
A feedback loop appears when the results of a system are fed back into it, causing the same patterns, mistakes, or biases to be repeated and to be reinforced. Errors are amplified with each repetition, and information that was once full of life is now deformed. When a feedback loop happens, the machines learn from machine creations, drifting into a vicious cycle where creativity folds into itself. Historical feedback. The Middle Ages. Thousands of people were labeled sick and contagious, possessed by an insane desire to dance.
1017, the town of Kolbig, a curse imposed by priests upon the people, causing villagers to dance in the graveyards.
1247, the city of Erfurt, a supernatural rat catcher bewitched 100 children to dance ecstatically at the city gates.
1374, the River Rhine, a sect,
A planetary alignment,
a baptism gone wrong,
the wrath of Saint John,
made thousands perform in a jumpy, trancy, sexy group dance for weeks in a row.
(1518), Strasbourg, Saint Vitus, the demon called Mager, the black bile, a mushroom, God itself put people in a continuous trance, unable to stop dancing, screaming, sometimes fucking.
Out of the many thousands of choreomaniacs in the Middle Ages, not a single testimony comes from those who actually danced. Their story was always told by the ones watching.
And the ones watching belonged to a class who promoted, but rarely performed, compassion. In the church archives, the dancers are described as masses of people dancing involuntarily, screaming the name of demons, experiencing visions of drowning in a red sea of blood, begging priests and monks to save their souls, asking to be beaten and to be whipped. And they were whipped.
Their story has been caught in a feedback loop.
But we can break the loop and tell another story, one of old gods and new gods clashing while hunger took over their cities.
They shared the common trauma of being oppressed, so they rebelled against the rhythms of decency.
In this spontaneous trance, their bodies reached a tipping point, in which pagan and Christian rhythms fused. This new movement was repressed by the Christian Church, but excessive control can only be challenged by embracing complete chaos. And chaos there was.
The memory of the collective body was rewritten many times.
The story of the choreomaniacs became the story of the Ramanenjana in 1863 Madagascar,
The Canudos in 1896 Brazil,
or the Native American ghost dancers of the 1880s. Anti-dance policies were enforced in order to erase identity and diversity.
Once the moving body has been successfully labeled sick and insane, history silenced its capacity to shout back to the world.
Chapter 5, Cravings. The following chapter discusses events in which the urge to dance becomes irresistible.
What comes next is a series of hallucinations and half-truths by the dance anarchist, who was prompted to behave as an alien dance journalist.
The alien dance journalist travels back and forth in time on planet Earth to document crowds threatening the establishment through dancing.
The time traveler works for an intergalactic magazine, sends memos to their chief editor.
The Dance Anarchy Virtual Man is a divergent underground cyber hub that encourages galaxy-intelligent species to return to ancient forms of mass dancing.
Memo 12. You wouldn't believe the fervor here. June 24, 1374, in the heart of a city called Aachen. It's full of wild dances. Humans have succumbed to an uncontrollable urge to twist and twirl. They're calling it St. John's dance. Citizens caught in a choreographic contagion challenge church doctrine with every step. Their legs leap in lunacy, a commotion of pirouettes. It's the year of the great spread of the dance craze. Suggest a hollow feature, anarchy in the Middle Ages.
Memo 24.
1896. Brazil, Canudos. The town has turned into a dance floor, wide and grand. This isn't your grandma's samba, it's wild and it's unplanned. What started as spiritual devotion has become a full-on boogie to set the people free. Hundreds are spinning, twirling, and shaking in defiance for all to see. Dance your way to rebellion. Groove for survival. Prepare a hollow poem. Rhythms of resistance. When faith gets funky. Memo 39. I saw it last night, May 12, 2018. The streets of Tbilisi pulsate with protest bleats. Ravers have turned Ruxandra Avenue into an open-air club of defiance. It's a techno-powered pushback against the powers called police. The youth electric flow in the face of armed intervention. Perfect for our rhythmic riots collection.
Memo 243.
Quick report. Earthlings in the 1930s turned their economic crash into endurance dance-offs. Non-stop jiving for days. Literally dance till they drop. Winners get food, losers collapse. Communities are shimmy shaking their way into a system that's been glitching them out for centuries. It's gritty, it's sweaty, it's surviving with jazz hands. Suggest virtual stream. Groove or die. The Great Depression Shuffle. Memo 353. Starlog 2050. Earthlings have conceived a bizarre fusion called raving. A wild meld of ancient dance frenzies with neon rave thrills. Cloaked in the shadows of city streets, humans spin into hypnotic haze. This curious ritual, pulsing with a seductive beat, tempts even the most reserved to shed their digital chains and sway into the night.
When the urge to gather becomes overwhelming, a craving happens. Crave in places you are not supposed to be, at a time when no one should be awake, to sounds no one wants to hear, at volumes that most people go deaf. A craving happens with the people who are already there. Focus on them. Crave with people who are gay, trans, straight, cis, vanilla, too old, too young, too horny, not horny enough. Fuck if you need to. Don't speak about it. Poor speaking causes wars. Poor fucking is training. Defeat exhaustion. Keep moving even if you are sore or falling asleep. Dream dance. Devastate your body in order to heal it. Craving teaches you about revolution. Listen to the crave. Bring water. Wear a hoodie, a mask, sunglasses, or other things to cover your face. Be prepared. Things will get weird and scary. Move very fast in emergencies. Craving blends defiance with fear. Crave each party as if it's your last party. When the urge to gather becomes overwhelming, a craving happens. Crave in places you are not supposed to be, at a time when no one should be awake, to sounds no one wants to hear, at volumes that most people go deaf. A craving happens with the people who are already there. Focus on them. Crave with people who are gay, trans, straight, cis, vanilla, too old, too young, too horny, not horny enough. Fuck if you need to. Don't speak about it. Poor speaking causes wars. Poor fucking is training. Defeat exhaustion. Keep moving even if you are sore or falling asleep. Dream dance. Devastate your body in order to heal it. Craving teaches you about revolution. Listen to the crave. Bring water. Wear a hoodie, a mask, sunglasses, or other things to cover your face. Be prepared. Things will get weird and scary. Move very fast in emergencies. Craving blends defiance with fear. Crave each party as if it's your last party. When the urge to gather becomes overwhelming, a craving happens. Crave in places you are not supposed to.
This last section was created using words, phrases, and slogans from a series of rave-themed articles. One of the articles is named Rave Until the World Ends by Hannah Bauer, and another one, People Tend to Rave When They Are in Trouble, How Techno Saves in War by Liuda Kornievich. They both speak about plural bodies and rhythms that struggle to gain and to maintain liberation.
With this performative talk, we wanted to draw attention to a danger we see in today's world, that of returns to these massively synchronized and linear rhythms, all in the name of reclaiming some past glories.
We all have this capacity of moving out of sync with the mainstream. It's a creative and a defensive strategy that helps us fight dominant forces, including technology. We should practice it as often as we can. Thank you.
Thank you.